I don't have the standards on here because we just looked them up on the computer, so I will add them that were in the Read 180 system. So I'm using the Read 180 text and then the worksheet that I created to go with the text.
Mm-hmm.
So there are just questions based on the text, and then I have sentence frames for them to fill out using the text. So they'll mostly be focusing on fluency and to get the comprehension there, so they can analyze the text and answer those questions.
Okay.
And then the goal is for them to answer them in complete sentences that make sense. So the objective is that students will be able to analyze a text to identify the key information, and then using that text, they will answer questions about it using complete sentences. So to start out, I'll have the reading also on the smartboard so they can see it, and have them open their books, and I'll hand out the worksheets. And then for the very first read, I will read through the story myself and have them follow along, and then I'll omit a couple words here and there for them to make sure they're following along, and then for them to verbally say it out to me. And then so we'll do the first question together, which I'll also have written on the board.
Okay.
So I'll read the question aloud to them, and then kind of like do a think aloud how I got to that information, and fill it in. And so then they'll fill it in on their papers as well. And then so for the check for understanding, I do have that we'll kind of just talk about the story in general to see what information they got from it already. I don't know if you think I should change that or...
No, I think that's okay.
So I can just pull sticks and see like what information they pulled from me reading it and then following along. And then
You can also pull sticks for them to read the
questions.
read the sentence
and the
frame.
sentences. Okay, perfect. And then so for the structured practice, they'll read aloud with me the story. And
So read it together
Mhm.
at the same time.
At the same time. And then we'll do the second question together. So I'll, mostly them, but I'll facilitate where I need to with finding it in the text and why it goes and fits with the question. And same thing like you said, I can pull sticks to have them read reread the sentence. And then for guided practice, I was going to have them turn to a partner at their table, and they'll each take a turn reading the passage. And they'll also omit a word, so that way when their partner's following along, they can put in the word. And then together, they'll work on the third question together, and then we'll come back really quick as a whole class and answer that third question on the board. And I'll get different answers from the different groups, which they will probably look really similar or the same, but just to kind of reinforce it. And then for their independent practice, they'll finish this last question by themselves. So they'll reread through the passage independently, and then answer that question and the student feedback at the bottom, so I kind of can gauge where or how they're feeling about what they did when they turn it in to me. And then that's pretty much like just, I guess, the outline of the lesson. So the expected learning outcomes are kind of what I had said, you know, that they'll be able to find the information from the text and then make a complete sentence. And so then when I created the lesson plan, I kept in mind that I know that they're all kind of really across the board with where they're at with stuff, with reading and writing. So knowing that, I think like all the rereads of it will help them become more familiar with it and get to know it, the text better, so that way when they're answering the questions or they're trying to figure it out, it's more familiar to them. And also some of the vocabulary, I think, will build for the rest of the unit, right? Yeah, and also for students like Mark, who can verbally say it, but they can't write it, seeing it on the board and being able to copy the words and the spelling, and then also for like the independent practice or even the guided practice, depending on who he's partnered with, I can write it on the whiteboard for him,
Mhm.
whatever he tells me, and then he can copy it down. Let's see. And so I know that there are a couple English language learners
Mhm.
in here, but I know that they're also at a level where they can reread that and they can fill in the blanks like we're doing. And the higher students who are at the purple table, when they come and bring it to me, I can go a little bit more in depth of how they found that information and why that makes sense
Make
to
them
them.
prove it to you
Yeah.
in the text, from the text, yeah.
And then so they don't really need to know anything about mummies or Egypt to do it. They need their reading skills, which they have. And obviously I'm there to help them through the words that are a little bit more challenging. And same thing, rereading it multiple times will help them with that. And so the sequencing is there for that reason, to help them get the repeated readings, to slowly like release the responsibility to them with creating the sentences and going through that. So I have the gradual release of responsibility. And so the passage does focus on mummies, and I know that that's something that they will be continuing. But then looking at the rest of the unit, like I did see a lot of sentence frames or things similar. So finding stuff in text will be helpful to them for the rest of the unit or future units. So the skill, hopefully, as I keep practicing, it will become easier for them to find the stuff in the text. And to eventually take away all the scaffolding that's there right now. And so same thing, it fits into the larger curriculum framework because it's part of the unit.
It's the workshop, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the introduction to it. I didn't include the video because they had already watched it, and it is very long. And it wasn't directly related to the passage. So that's why I left it out. But
Well, they watched the video and they took the notes on the
yeah,
on the thinking map, so you can refer to the thinking map if you want, if you want to reference that as something that they had previously done.
and then there's some of the vocabulary words like pharaoh, mummy, tomb, pyramid, treasure, Egypt. Those are all kind of in the future lessons. So the academic vocabulary kind of builds for them, and they kind of need that base to move forward with when it goes to like the scientific aspects of uncovering the tombs and all that. And then so for their IEPs and goals, I know a lot of them are working on fluency and comprehension and writing complete sentences. So I'm hoping this lesson kind of fits with that and helps them, because they do the same thing on a daily basis anyways, of rereading passages over and over and over again. So I'm hoping that same thing, they'll just apply it to this one and it will just become familiar. And then comprehension. And so they're all participating because they're all reading out loud with me and they're all following along. And then I'm calling sticks to have kids read stuff or for their answers. And they're all working with their partner and filling out the worksheet. And so for theories, there's pretty much like all of them in here. So for developmental theory, they have the prerequisite skills to do it. So it's developmentally where they are.
Right.
And behavioral, providing positive feedback for their participation and for their work and all that. And then cognitive theory, because they're getting experiences to continuously practice that skill, like over and over and over again. Plus the think aloud process and the modeling. And then social cognitive theory, because they're observing others, like they're observing me do it, and then also their partner in guided practice. And the constructivist theory, because they're kind of being held to a high expectation of complete sentences instead of just writing like one word, like they kind of like to do.
Or answering in one word sentences, or one word responses.
And then I'm giving them the scaffolding to be able to complete that and get there.
Right.
And then sociocultural theory, because it's within their zone of proximal development, and the gradual release of responsibility to them.
Okay.
And then so for determining whether or not they've made progress towards applying the skill and whether they'll be able to do it like in a future lesson. So kind of watching them when we're in the whole group and seeing how they're doing with their reading and understanding what the story's about, or the passage, I guess, and being able to fill out the sentences and seeing how quickly they're maybe finding them and seeing how that goes. And then definitely with the guided practice too, like walking around between the groups and seeing,
Right.
you know, if they're struggling with trying to fill that out, like how much I'm facilitating there. And same thing with the independent practice. And definitely with the higher kids, figuring out, like, can they really explain to me why they chose that answer, or how it is. And also their feedback to me, like how they felt about it. Did they think that that was super easy, or did they think it was horrific and really hard? But I kind of think that, like, just through those observations and then reading their work afterwards, I'll probably be able to get a good idea of how they'll do in one of the future readings or passages from the unit. So that's pretty much what it is. I don't know if you have any suggestions or ideas.
No, it sounds like you're right on track, and I think it'll be great. The only thing I was thinking of is when they're reading with a partner, as you've kind of pointed out, in that the groups are leveled, so you know that the purple group's going to be fine, but you might want to check on the orange group, and they might need a little bit more support in reading words like pharaoh, and maybe reviewing those bigger words not as vocabulary words, but as words that they have to decode. That they're, I think they'll get like mummy and tomb, and but we haven't talked about a pharaoh yet. So, and it's a strangely spelled word. So, so that might be one, just as a way of decoding that word and practicing that word. But I'm sure you keep an eye on the orange group, just to see when they're reading in partners.
Do you think I should just leave them in their groups, or do you think I should pair a lower student with a higher student to help? We
could do it just for that activity, and you can just do the purple and the orange. Actually, there's one student in the orange that won't have trouble with decoding, but the rest will. So we could pair them with the purple just for that, and then I think that's a good idea.
Okay, yeah. So.
Because then you'll have a decoder with a non-decoder.
Do you think I should just let them pick a partner from the opposite table, or do you think I should just assign it? Assign it?
Yeah. Okay. It'll be faster and easier.
I know you know them better than I do right now, so is there any two who should not work together?
No, and you know what? We can play with it. No, I think they'll be fine.
Okay.
All of the ones in the purple group will be able to decode the material. And the orange group will struggle. So 1-on-1 will be fine. You can mix them up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
And then I guess we kind of just need to pick a day for me to do it.
So do you want to do it next Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, either one works for me. Whichever one works better.
We could do it Wednesday. Let's do it in case something comes up and we have to.
Okay.
Reschedule or whatever.
Okay.
Let's do it Wednesday, and then we can always hit it Thursday
if we need to.
Something pops up.
Okay. That works for me. And then I don't know. So I know kind of they're used to looking at certain, like in their book, they fill out the stuff in their book.
Yeah.
Or like when they're doing the independent reading and writing, it looks a certain way. So like, is this gonna be like, they're not gonna be like, because it's on a...
No, I think it'll be fine because they're so used to doing the sentence frames.
Because I tried to bold the questions and then have it...
That's okay. You can also, I was gonna say you can highlight it different colors, the sentence, but you don't have, I don't think you have to. I think it'll be fine. Because they've been doing so many sentence frames, it's just on a different format. But
I just didn't know if it'd throw them off or no. You think it'll be okay?
Yeah, and you'll be going through it with them, so I think they'll be okay. Yeah.
Right. Perfect.
And it's a topic we've been talking about. Again, the only word they haven't seen is pharaoh, though the sixth graders have been studying it,
Yeah.
so they will know the word. But the other kids will just have to be introduced to it. So
Okay.
I think the format will be fine.
And I tried to keep it kind of limited. So for like this one, I think it's
Yeah.
like one word, and this one's like two that they have to fill in.
Right.
Same thing, like in a pyramid or in a tomb.
Right.
You know. This one's the longest one, which was like directly from the end of the lesson in the Read 180 lesson plan. And there's like 3 different answers for it.
Perfect.
So we'll see how they
Yeah.
do, I guess, with that one.
And a lot of times we do that orally in the book, and we'll say like underline an important fact, and there's like 3 different answers. So some kids will find one answer, some kids will find a different answer. So you can even because those books are consumable.
Yeah, and see, I didn't know that when I was writing it, and then I saw them
Yeah.
writing in it today, and I was like, oh, okay. So
Yeah, it's
okay.
a different. It's nice.
Yeah.
So they're consumable, so you can have them underline the facts in the book as well.
Okay, perfect.
So,
I think I will. I'll add that in there.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah, it is a definite benefit to that program. Is they get to write and underline in the books.
Yeah, and I think it'll
nice.
also help that when they like bring me their paper, if they have it underlined, I can see where they were
Right.
getting
It's
it.
pretty easy at a glance.
Yeah.
Who's getting it and not, because you can see who's underlined the correct sentence or whatever the evidence that you're looking for, or who's filled in the correct blanks on the page. So I think you'll be good.
Okay, perfect.
You know, it sounds great. So we'll plan out on Wednesday.
All right, perfect.
All right? Perfect. Thank you.